Wait.
Yeah, I can go out and tell you when you did. Oh, yeah, it started.
Oh,
We can just crop it.
Yeah, you can crop it.
We can crop it. Just keep it on.
Just leave it running. Leave it running.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, start.
Over Group 1, I'm Garrison Brady.
I'm Isaac Edmiston.
I'm Sam Rance.
I'm Kelly Turner.
I'm Matthew Intardonato.
And we chose to do La Crime Pavane by John Dolan. Here's the snippet of the performance. So a little bit about John Dolan. He was born around 1562 in London, England, and died on January 21st, 1626. Not much is known of Dolan's childhood, but in 1580 he went to Paris to be a servant of the ambassador of the French court. Dolan earned a Bachelor of Music degree from the University of Oxford in 1588, and after serving in different courts, Dolan was eventually appointed as one of the musicians for the lutes to James I. A little more about him. He was the highest paid court musician in the history of the Renaissance. Most of his lute music had enchanting melodies and were based on dance forms, including pavanes and galliards. His lute style of writing was extremely elegant and varied with extreme contrapuntal sophistication, as demonstrated in La Crime Pavane. John Dolan started out by playing on a 6-course lute and eventually moved up to a 10-course lute.
All about La Crime Pavane. The piece was published in 1604, and its purpose was to symbolize the fall of man, which was in the book of Exodus, where man became imperfect and disobedient. It was dedicated to Queen Anne of Denmark, and it is a classical chamber music piece. And now we have the 6 musical concepts used in La Crime Pavane. The tempo. The tempo is how quickly or how slowly a beat is passing. Is the Italian word for time. The overall tempo of John Dolan's La Crime Pavane would be considered a somewhat slow tempo. Consonants. Consonant chords are chords in which the different pitches all fit together nicely, creating a pleasant or settled effect. In Nigel North's performance of La Crime Pavane, the mood that is perceived from the audience could be considered soothed due to the overall pleasant sound exhibited. This is representative of the consonants used in this composition.
The texture that we identified as being used in La Crime Pavane is one of a monophonic. Monophonic being Greek for one sound. Essentially, whenever there's one melody line used through the piece, then it has a monophonic texture. The next musical instrument that we identified was ornamentation. Ornamentation being when 2 ideas are repeated in the song, but when it is played again, it usually has a differentiation to make it more unique and not sound as similar to the first time it was utilized, which is used throughout La Crime Pavane. We identified the meter used in the piece as being a duple meter. The meter is the grouping of the beats that is used throughout the musical piece. A duple meter has a grouping of 2 to 4 or 4 beats, and throughout La Crime Pavane there is it is organized into 2 beats is the meter. So that's that one.
So now we come to the form of the piece. Definition of form is going to be the organization of music based on repeating pattern. And in this piece, we have 3 different distinctive patterns. We start off with an A pattern, and then it goes into a slightly differentiated A pattern, and then go into our B pattern, and then we repeat that one again with some slight variations, and then we get to our final part of the piece. For performance techniques, Nigel North, who was our performer earlier, uses the Figuetas Extranjera, which we don't have a video of. Which you can see right here, he's got his thumb out, exposed. And we can also see that he's not strumming through, he's plucking the strings. And finally, we have the punteado technique, which is what I was talking about with the plucking of the strings instead of the strumming.
So basically, to kind of conclude our whole presentation, again with John Dowland's biography, really not much is known about his early childhood. Even the year that he was born is not completely known. But however, that lack of information is definitely made up for in all of the information about his works later in life and his influence on the history of music. And so when he was writing for the lute, his style was enchanting, it was elegant, it was sophisticated, but it also had a lot of variations that were contrapuntal. And in one of his most famous works, the Lacrimae Pavane, which is what we did our presentation over, which was published in 1604, he uses a multitude of different musical elements to kind of make the piece as great as it is. And some of those include duple meter, ornamentation, consonants, and more, like we presented earlier. In the selected performance of Lacrimae Pavane that we showed earlier, the entertainer utilizes techniques like punteado to make his performance unique and different from other performances of Lacrimae Pavane. And our overall interpretation of this piece includes feelings of happiness, relaxation, and soothing. The composition is super elegant and it puts us all in a positive mood. So do you guys want to come back up here and we can kind of... So again, do y'all have anything y'all want to say about how it made you feel?
Overall, exploring John Dowland's piece was very enlightening to me. I found it a very positive piece, and when I listened to it, it was very uplifting in some spots, and that's what I enjoyed most about it.
Yeah, the piece is very, very soothing. It's kind of like a lullaby almost. Yeah, that's the best way I could describe it, is like a lullaby.
It was just, it's very, reminded me of my childhood, of a simpler time. It was very, even though it was a simple piece in that way, it evokes so many emotions from me that it's kind of ironic, really.
Yeah, I agree with everyone else. I think this piece is obviously legendary to John Dowland's legacy, and I think that there was a lot of uniqueness in this, and there was a lot of moving pieces that all kind of came together and made it great.
Yeah, so overall we really liked the piece, and the performance of the piece was really interesting too. And then, so yeah, so where's the, oh, and then these are the sources that we got all of our information from, including Dr. Bustow's PowerPoints. That's where we got most of the stuff from. And then these are our member contributions, and yeah, thank you for your time. That was 10 minutes.
God.